Hi, Dr. Sue.
Hello.
How are you feeling today?
Good, thank you.
So, what would you like to tell us today?
So I've got an update for everyone. Basically, as you all know, I have a position as a GP trainee in Ireland starting in July. But at the moment, I'm waiting to hear from the Irish Medical Council with regards to my registration. From that end, all the paperwork has been completed, but I'm just waiting for them to process the application. So hopefully, fingers crossed, I'll be hearing from them shortly.
Great. So, we have now sorted out a place to stay.
That's right. So that's the other update, which is a major update. We have had a lovely lady approach us and offer her home for us, so we're going to be renting that property. So yeah, we're really happy with that. So the children are really excited. We've got somewhere to go to, which obviously was a major stress factor when it came to planning the whole move. But we're looking forward to it, and we're really excited.
Exactly. She's a very nice lady. She actually approached us on TikTok.
That's
so
right, yeah.
Thank you, TikTok. And she knew what we were doing, the fact that we're moving to Ireland. And she knew we have 4 kids.
Yeah.
And she's got a beautiful home.
That was one of the, one of the main stresses, really, isn't it? That we were really worried that we're going to struggle finding a place to stay. But luckily, obviously, it ended up being easier than we thought. We were really lucky.
Exactly. And we had a Skype call with her. She showed us her home. It's beautiful. Lots of beautiful furniture. So a very nice family home. So we're looking forward to moving to Ireland. Like you said, we're waiting for your paperwork so that you can have your license to practice.
Yeah, that's right.
With the IMC or Irish Medical Council.
Correct. So obviously every doctor needs to be registered with a regulatory body, and every country they've got their own ways of regulating doctors. In Ireland, that's the IMC, the Irish Medical Council, which I've submitted all my application to, and hopefully I will be hearing from them soon. As soon as I've got the green light from them, that means that I can start working as a doctor in Ireland.
Exactly, and we'll be ready to move hopefully by the end of June. So it's all looking good right now. We're excited.
Yes, not long to go.
What would you say to doctors out there, maybe who've taken some time out to do other things like you have, having worked in higher education at a number of universities as you have, or maybe they've just taken time out to look after their family or any number of things? What would you say to them about getting back into clinical practice? What are the things they need to consider, and what are the things that they need to think about, and would you recommend it to them?
Obviously, I think, everyone has a different path in their lives, different priorities, and different interests. For me at the time, going into academic practice was an opportunity that I didn't want to, not take.
Mm-hmm.
And it was the best time to be able to get that experience. And I also had the flexibility of looking after my family while I was working within the higher education sector. And right now, I feel, from my point of view, I'm at the right stage to go back full-time into clinical practice. And I think that would differ for different people. But if you have an interest in a different area, I don't think there's any problem with taking time out of program or out of practice, and then in the future going back should you wish to do that.
Yep, that's true. I mean, with us, it helped with lots of things.
I think one of the main things, a lot of us maybe, it's childcare, isn't it? From our point of view, it really helped with that, because I think the first couple of years after having our first 2 children, childcare was really expensive. And we had to kind of have these complicated schedules on who was doing what. We had different rotas, different on-call schedules. So obviously we had to work around that. But in terms of going into academia, from my point, I didn't have to do on-call shifts, and it was kind of more 9 to 5. Obviously there were times when I had to work in the evenings or at the weekends, but that was rarer, and I had a bit more control over that.
Exactly.
It depends on how you, I suppose, how you see yourself. Where do you see yourself in your career? What do you want to do?
Exactly. So you're going back into GP training. You're going to be a GP trainee. hopefully soon in Ireland. So what are the things that you're looking forward to, and what are the things that you're maybe apprehensive about, or you know?
Things that I'm looking forward to, obviously it's a new experience, a new country, meeting new people, getting back into practice full time. Things that are making me apprehensive, I think probably, having obviously, we're changing everything. We're going into a new property, a new country, a new job, a new role. Though it's exciting, I do feel a bit nervous about it. But I think, like I said, it's a new opportunity, and I'm looking forward to it. And possibly I'm going to miss being full-time academic as well. We'll see, but we'll see how it goes.
Now, one thing I've heard a lot of medical colleagues say is that the thing that they look forward to the most are the on-calls, because they're amazing. Night shifts, weekends, long days,
of course, that goes without
all the
saying.
emergencies. So are you looking forward to those on-calls? What are the best bits about on-calls?
I think on calls, they can always be unexpected. You don't know what's going to happen. I've never really heard anyone say that. That's the thing that they look.
Really, you've never heard anyone say they love on calls? Okay, well,
You must be an exception.
maybe I'm the only one.
Yeah, I think you are. No, I mean the on calls. That's part of the job. We all know we have to do them.
Mm-hmm.
I don't mind the on calls, to be honest with you. I think it's where you learn a lot, or maybe the most even, because you get to see loads of things that you might not see during regular hours, and it improves your practice tremendously. So
That's true. Your top 3 tips for anyone who's been out of practice for a while and wants to get back in working clinically, maybe not immediately getting into a specialty or training program, but they just want to get back in. So it could be people who've had responsibilities for childcare, or loved ones who've been unwell, or any number of situations where doctors have had to take time out, or nurses, or any number of other clinicians. What would be your top 3 tips for them to consider before coming back to clinical practice?
okay, so I think this advice will probably depend on how long you've been out of practice for. If it's a very long time, then you might benefit from going back, approaching a hospital that you worked for in the past, and maybe doing a kind of a phased return or period of observation. And then once you've done that, maybe you might be able to get on, connect with some locum companies, or directly with the hospital trusts themselves, and possibly do some locum shifts during the daytime. Get to know the latest that's been happening, because a lot of things do change if you've been out of practice for a long period of time. Systems change, the way some hospitals will use, for example, e-prescribing. Other hospitals may still use the old charts. So just getting yourself familiar with what the latest changes are. So what was that? I don't know how many tips there were in that.
That was a couple. That's good. Probably good enough. Probably good enough. So basically, do some shifts, do some revision.
Do some shadowing. That's the first thing I would say, especially if you've been out of practice for a long time. Obviously, if some people haven't been out of practice for that long, they may not need to do any of that. And then get yourself onto some shifts. Maybe you might need to just review some of the latest guidelines, just to see if anything has changed, especially in the areas that you're going to be doing shifts in. So prepare yourself for that. Make sure you can find your stethoscope, which is the thing on my list, because I don't know where mine was.
That's true. We need to find it. It's in the garage somewhere. And the final tip, the final tip that you missed out is obviously to get on TikTok and to follow you. Obviously, right?
Of course, that goes without saying. You need to follow me.
Thanks, guys. Thanks, Dr. Sue. And hopefully we'll talk more about all these things. Maybe we'll do a podcast. This is making me think we should do a podcast so that I'm on the other side. But maybe it's better this way, so I don't get seen. Okay, well, take care, guys.
Thanks for listening. Take care.
Thanks, Dr. Sue. Bye.
Bye-bye.